Okay, so welcome to week 2. This is our week 2 of the summer boot camp, and I'm going to be sharing today, and we're going to be doing another live demo on just traditional media sketching, pencil and paper. As I said before, the first 2 weeks we're doing sort of the basic pencil and paper sketching. The second 2 weeks we're doing digital rendering. The third 2 weeks we're going to be getting into some of the new AI tools that are available to designers. And so, and really each of these segments is representative of one of our full courses. So wanted to talk a little bit about sort of our course offerings. So we have, what we're doing right now is a kind of a synopsis of CARDESIGN 101. So CARDESIGN 101 is really about the very basics of drawing, from just getting good line quality and drawing circles and drawing ellipses, to drawing boxes in perspective, just so we understand a little bit about how perspective works. And then we start to get into side views of vehicles, which is what we did last week. And we begin to understand the different proportions and different aspects of how to construct various types of vehicles, sedans, SUVs, sports cars. And then for this week, I'm going to be doing some demonstrations on drawing cars in perspective. So I'm going to probably stick with the sports car because I think that gets people pretty excited. But if we have a little bit of time, I might introduce an SUV or something with a very different proportion. So the other thing that we want to talk about is with perspective is the ability to interpret the same design from multiple views. So initially, when we get into designing cars, we want to try and get some sort of a unique design that we like, and then we try to articulate that in different views. So I'm going to start off with just a quick exercise with a series of side views, and I'm going to do what I call thumbnail sketching. Some people call it soldier sketching. Some people call it empathic sketching. Actually, I really like the term empathic sketching, but this is a technique that I use when I'm just starting out to really just generate a lot of silhouettes really quickly and get some great ideas. So I'm just going to do what I do with empathics is I start to lay down character lines really quickly, and you can see I'm not necessarily thinking about wheels at this point. I'm really thinking more about gestures and just exploring different forms and shapes, and trying to get a bandwidth of shapes that I like, right? So to see if I can come up with something that I haven't seen before, something unique and innovative. And what I'm really doing is I'm letting my hand go before my mind. So this is one of the tools of what I call divergence, which is where we're open to new ideas. We're exploring. We're not really committed at this point to what it is we're designing. So, and you can see where I can generate very quickly a lot of interesting shapes. And also, if we think of car design as a series of key lines, right? And if you were to break the design of a car down to just like 3 to 5 lines, like what would be the sort of key elements that define that design? And so, without getting too committed or too detailed, I really like this sort of line that drops down towards the rear wheel. I think that's a really cool, very, very sort of modern gesture. That's a really cool shape right there. And then just indicating just very, very, very loosely indicating some wheels without getting too deep into to the details of trying to get the perfect wheels, right? So, and so this is just a really great tool to explore, right? I'm trying to get as loose as possible, free my mind, not think too hard. See, I like this one quite a bit as well. This is sort of, it's a little bit Bugatti-esque where you have this line coming around and kind of encapsulating the front wheel. And maybe, but again, I'm sketching really quick and loose. So, before I get too committed to that, I move on to the next sketch. And this is what this is the divergence. This is like where I'm really letting the pencil go. I'm not trying to control the pencil. I'm just letting the pencil go. And as I'm doing that, I'm kind of along for the ride, right? I'm sort of I'm just sort of like almost a casual observer, and just trying to figure out what's this is kind of interesting too. This almost looks like the body side is just cut away from. That's an interesting one as well. Or the body side is sort of cut away from the main fuselage, right? So once I have a pretty good range of gestures, right, then I might start to go in and just start to add a bit more detail, a bit more refinement. And now I'm starting to really think about, maybe the shapes of the wheel openings. Maybe they're not necessarily round. Maybe they're angular. You can really get expressive, right? So that's looking pretty interesting. Maybe I just start to add some real subtle indications of doors and windows and things like that. I keep sharpening the pencil. This one, on the other hand, has a very sort of level, linear front to rear. Front to rear, so maybe it's got this real subtle twisting sculpture in the body side. So at this stage, what I'm doing now is I'm kind of looking at the lines and I'm saying, okay, what's happening here? What can I see in these lines? What can I bring out? What forms and shapes can I bring out? What kind of vehicle theme can I bring out of these lines, right? And that's how a lot of my best car designs start. Is sort of with these. Okay, we've got Alfonso joining us. Hi, Alfonso. How are you?
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, hi. So we're just doing a quick demonstration on. This is a technique that I use to generate fresh new designs, and I call it empathic sketching, where I'm sort of letting the pencil go faster than my mind, and just laying down really quick gestures of cars in order to sort of freely explore different shapes and forms and to get to something that has a very unique futuristic character.
Okay.
I feel like that's what Alfonso was doing if you look at the bluescape.
Yeah, he was doing that. You were doing that very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like to do these. Part of the reason I sketch relatively small when I do these is because if I sketch big, I tend to over detail it, right? So by keeping the sketches really small, it keeps me focused on just those those core character lines, the things that make up the design theme. And then you know, it just sort of forces me to stop, you know, at the right time, right? This one's interesting because it almost looks like the belt line is coming really, really far down below the fenders. It kind of gives it this sort of wasp-waisted, wasp-waisted look, which I'm going to emphasize with sort of a dark graphic. That could be some kind of a carbon fiber aerodynamics piece, right? Yeah. So this one I thought was really interesting. It's sort of it's a little bit Bugatti-esque, but there's other cars like Ford GT that have done something fairly similar, and almost looks like the rear fender is separate from the body, but you know, just starting to indicate some forms, but without getting too committed. I had a professor that used to say, "Be committed to being non-committal." So, you know, at this stage, you want to be committed to being non-committal, because if you go in with too specific of an idea of what the form should be, right? You'll limit yourself to something that's a lot more similar to today's vehicles. So in last week's demo, we were much more focused on the proportions and gestures of familiar vehicles, like, you know, today's sedans, like German sedans, SUVs. This is where we've sort of mastered the proportions and and now we're really trying to express a new futuristic design, right? And this is how we sort of explore and find those futuristic designs. You know, just continuing to, you know, maybe, you know, trying to figure out what are these forms doing. You know, maybe this is, you know, some sort of really interesting twisting shape in the body side. You know, just using the side of my pencil a little bit to explore. That's got almost like a Lamborghini Countach feeling to it. Countach. Yeah. Yeah, kind of Bertoni, Italian quality. In fact, you know, I might actually, you know, give it sort of the iconic air intake behind the rear window. That could be really cool.
Who was it that did a bunch of the wedge cars back in the 70s? Was that Gandini?
Oh, they all did.
Yeah.
As you can see, my pencil's getting really short.
Real quick, in the bluescape, who did the 4 sketches in the lower left? I know which ones are Alfonso's, so I have those labeled. Tim, were you able to get anything in here?
I only got a few sketches over the weekend done. It's asking for a 5-digit code.
That's probably
wall.
Huh.
Is that what we want? Send to wall?
5-digit code.
Yeah.
Is it like to authenticate your?
Yeah, I never enabled 2-factor authorization. So it should just let you in once you created the account.
Yeah, it might be to validate the account.
Yeah. Did you
Get an email.
when you created your account? Did you enable two-factor authorization?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Is that what we're supposed to do? Send to wall?
No. Oh, send to wall is no. Okay. Yeah, what you did. So send to wall. Bluescape actually makes a special touchscreen monitor that's like 60 inches. And if you have Bluescape on your mobile device, if you click send to wall, it'll send it to that. So through Bluetooth, it'll send it to that monitor. But what you want to do is on the left hand side of the menu, you just hit the plus sign. That's the upload button. So that's what you do. You just upload. Okay. Yeah. So just leave that here.
So that's how you do it. Add content.
So yeah, give that another try, and that should work for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't have much. It's been like 13 years since I've been sketching.
Yeah. I'm trying to find my other pencil. I had a whole box of these, and I got it down to one. So that's all right. I'll just make do. So anyway, So this is a really nice sort of quick way of getting into some fresh new designs. Now, I really like this. I don't know how you guys feel. I really like this Lamborghini. I don't know. There's something about it. It's sort of a new take on the Countach. It's not so brutal. It's a little more sculptural.
Which one?
The middle one
you're talking about?
Yeah. This one.
Oh, yeah. I like that one too.
Yeah, there's something really cool about that one. So, okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start a new page, and what I want to do is show you how to sort of articulate the same or similar design from multiple views, right? So I'm going to kind of recreate that sketch again. So it was really just like this key line. This is sort of the key line, right? And then it's this very sort of unified silhouette with the highest point being fairly far forward, right? Then we have a little bit of a rise on the front fender. This time I'm going to actually draw the wheels because we want to make sure we have the proportions right. You can see I'm sketching really light right now, but I'm going to get my wheels.
So now you're sketching more with purpose, right?
Yeah, I'm sketching more with purpose. I kind of know what I want the car to be. All right, so and I want this really nice sort of twisting. I wouldn't call it twisting, but it's sort of like this really cool sculptural form on the body side, where okay. And then we have our main cabin. All right. We're starting to get, and then the front end is really low, really pushed down. I'm thinking about introducing some sort of element to connect that line, and then we also have these really we have these really sculptural, or not sculptural, but these really angular forms. You see, now I'm being a bit more deliberate with the lines.
What's that saying you always say? Keep it light until it's right.
Non-committal. What's that?
Keep it light until it's right.
Keep it light till it's right. Yeah. So as I get a little more confident in where the sketch is heading, I'm going to start to sort of block in more and more, a little bit more detail. So now I'm kind of introducing a wheel shape that is kind of the classic Lamborghini wheel. And again, I'm being very, very loose. Not trying to be too tight at this point. I'll keep darkening everything as I go. And I'm introducing this very subtle crease that kind of fades out in the main body side. And then picks up again up here. So this is all about sculpture.
Can you kind of explain a little bit about the shading that you're doing, or do you want me to?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the best way to think about it is you're trying to sort of sculpt the body with the value. And so what he's doing is everything that is light would be coming from above. So everything that's catching shadows now sort of bent away based on where that body line is on the shoulder, and everything kind of tucks in underneath. So where you see a darker shadow, that's a harder angle. And everything that's upwards facing is still nice and bright, so it's not getting any shadow.
And we're going to have this air intake on the side. So I'm going to try to keep this sketch pretty quick here because I want to get to the perspective. What we want to do is get something that really looks like the same car but in perspective. Notice that I'm using the character lines to determine where the facets are in the wheel openings. You can see now that I'm getting really confident in the drawing, I'm getting pretty dark here. I'm also going to introduce some depth in the wheels and the rims here. And then this would be some sort of carbon fiber aerodynamics element. Same thing back here. Probably introduce some carbon fiber diffuser piece here, and then maybe some kind of a little wing shape. And then just to separate the material of the glass from the body, I'm going to create a kind of a hard reflection, kind of a sky tone.
The sky tone implicates that the the body or the glass is reflecting the sky, which typically, if you look at the sky near the horizon, it's a lighter blue, and the highest point of the sky, it's usually a darker blue. So it's reflecting that darker blue a little bit. Sometimes you'll see that on the top of wheel flares or fenders, because that's the most upward facing surface on the body. So it gets a little darker sometimes at the top.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we've got the side view looking pretty good. And you can see how I'm sort of sculpting the body side here. I wanted this to be a little bit of a softer version of a Lamborghini where it's not so brutally edgy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can see a little bit of the fender form coming through. And okay, so now I'm going to get into the perspective. So I'm going to do like a kind of a front 3/4 view. And yeah, what we really want to do is I want to be able to express the same car in multiple views. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just setting up a box in space with the horizon line being about here, right? And I'm trying to capture the general length and width of the car. And then I'm going to start to set up my wheels and tires. So when we do ellipses, if we look at the direction of the axles, right, the horizontal line that connects the centers of the wheels, right? What we're really doing is we're creating two cylinders, right? So there's a cylinder for the front wheels, and then we draw our 3 wheels. As I draw my 3 wheels, each wheel is getting a little bit smaller and a little bit narrower, right? Each ellipse, right? And then we go. Just a second, let me get this out of the way. Yeah, and so when we get to the very back wheel, now we may compensate a little bit because this car has a larger rear wheel versus the front, but for now we're going to keep it relatively similar, right? So what I've done is I've laid 2 cylinders on the ground representing all 4 tires. Okay? And as I'm looking at the side view, right, I'm looking at the height of it, I'm looking at all of the key lines, and so I'm going to start by just laying out some of the key character lines like this body side line between the wheels. Right. And then I'm also going to lay out the main silhouette. Okay. And so I'm taking all of the core lines between the tires and I'm just turning them towards you in perspective. Now this takes quite a bit of practice. Drawing a car in perspective is one thing, but then trying to draw the same car in a different perspective, that's sort of like the final sort of outcome that we want to get to in Car Design 101, where you have the confidence and the skill to create an innovative futuristic design in side view and then articulate it into a 3/4 view. So you can see I'm really taking my time to build up the sketch, and that's because I'm really looking at the side view and trying to make sure that I'm honoring the core elements, but at the same time introducing some additional design elements that you wouldn't be able to see from the side view. So, for example, the profile of the front end. The front end is going to have this very low wedge shape with a very straight bumper profile, right? So I'm just laying that out really carefully. And I'm also thinking about what the headlights might want to be, and I'm thinking like these really thin, sort of vertical LED lights. So I'm just kind of really roughly sketching that in. I'm just starting to indicate some spokes and some of the other elements of the vehicle in order to kind of ground it. The profile of the wheel openings, that's a key sort of feature of this design. So one of the things you'll notice is that I created this sort of secondary character line running through the front wheel opening, and I use that to determine where to put the sort of brakes in the shape, right? So everything sort of works together seamlessly. There's a harmony to it, right? And so I'm going to try to repeat that shape again in the 3/4 view, right? Same thing at the rear. I'm just sort of coordinating these character lines so that everything kind of works together. Okay. So starting to get some cohesion here. Another thing we need to consider is tumble home. Now, tumble home is a term that we use to describe what the car looks like from the front view and what the windows do. So if you look at most cars, there's a bit of angle, right? It's very rarely that the side windows of a car are straight up and down. Usually that's with a very boxy SUV like a Jeep or a G-Wagon or something like that. But if you look at like most cars, there's a little bit of what we call tumble home. That's where the glass leans in a little bit. But with a Lamborghini, it's extreme, right? So if we look at,
especially the Countach.
yeah. So the profile of, or the front profile of a Lamborghini is very angular, right? So the windows are it's this angle here that we're talking about, the tumble home, right? So if we look at that's sort of the classic Lamborghini profile in the front view, right? And then if we compare that to, like, let's say an SUV like a G-Wagon, right? I'll sketch over here so you can see. But like a G-Wagon might be like almost completely vertical, but even then there's a slight bit of tumble home.
Same with the Jeep.
Yeah. And then what they do is they step out the tires from the body to make it look stable, right? To make it look planted. But yeah, that would be like a Jeep or a G-Wagon. All right.
Oh yeah.
Right. Also, the cabin is much taller, right? Right. So when we get to the 3/4 view, we really want to give the sense of tumble home. So if you look at where the A-pillar is on the side view, it's landing about at the top of the center of the top of the front wheel. So if I take a line at about the same point, aim it at the center of the front wheel, and then just sort of aim it at the high point of the roof, like that. That's going to give me an idea of where the tumble home needs to be. So the shape of the side glass actually changes quite a bit in the 3/4 views. Right? And then on the far side, that A-pillar is it also aims towards the far side tire. So yeah, so you can see that the top of the cabin is much narrower, and that's because of the glass, really angling in, right? So that's where I really spend a lot of time when I'm putting a sketch into perspective. Is that tumble home? It's very, very important to get that right. Right, and then also the center profile here is very, very flat, right? So if you were to look at, let's say, a Porsche, right? A Porsche has this very rounded canopy to the roof, right? It's more like an aircraft canopy. Right. Still has a lot of tumble home, but it's much rounder across the top and leading up into the top. So that's kind of what I call the aircraft canopy effect. So you can see, sketching in a symmetrical front view is a little bit tough to get the symmetry right, but that's kind of a just illustrating the difference in the canopy style, right? So with the Lamborghini, this is a very three-sided. Okay, so now that we have, I think we're starting to get the general shape looking pretty good. And then I think we can start to get a little bit darker with the lines here. So I'm looking at it on screen here, and it's looking pretty good. What's interesting is on Google Meetings, the image that I get on Google Meetings is the opposite of, it's a mirror image of
what are you drawing
on paper.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting about that is one of the things that I often do to check perspective is to turn the sketch backwards. So if it's a paper sketch, I turn it over, hold it up to the light. But if it's a digital sketch, I'll just flip the image digitally. But what that does is it's almost like giving your eye a new perspective. It's almost as if someone else is seeing your sketch for the first time. You kind of get to see what they see. And because oftentimes when you're sketching in perspective, your brain is trying to tell you that your perspective looks better than it really is. So if you have any real issues with your drawing, you're not going to see them necessarily right away until you get the sketch looking. If you look at the sketch backwards, so that's a good tool to be able to check yourself. You can see I'm also increasing the size of the rear wheel just a little bit. I'm starting to introduce those classic Lamborghini wheels. And we'll probably introduce some tone as well to give them a sense of depth. And then we'll start to introduce some black graphic around those wheel openings, because that's a really important part of this design. A lot of times when I do, if I do a traditional sort of round wheel arch, I might not put this much effort into the air gap around the tire, but because this is such an important part of the graphic, I'm just putting a little bit of extra time in there. You see the rear tire just sort of kicks out a little bit. My carbon fiber elements here. Sorry, do we have a question? I heard something.
I think it was a notification on my computer.
Oh, okay. All right. I think it's going to be time to retire this pencil after today.
We'll give it a proper burial.
Yeah. So now I'm just introducing kind of a dark shadow graphic just below the leading edge of the front end. I think that's going to be some kind of an intake or a graphic.
Eric, I noticed that you don't do much with section lines.
Sometimes I will introduce a section line. I actually stopped doing that with Viscom because it
doesn't like those. Yeah.
Yeah, well, or it does like them, and it likes them a little too much because then it tries to make them into shut lines or character lines or something. But we'll talk about that. But yeah, I've sort of backed off on section lines recently for that reason, and that's not a good thing, right? That's letting the AI kind of dictate my workflow. But I'm really trying to communicate through form more than anything.
Sure.
As I'm getting more and more confident in the direction of the drawing, I'm getting a little bit more deliberate in the shading. You can see where I'm kind of introducing a secondary form to give the impression that the body is sort of swelling out towards the wheels. Right, getting that little intake on the rear quarter there, and then I'll introduce a little bit of a material break. So this is like sort of a reflection within the glass. Just kind of gives the glass a sense of glossiness and material difference from the body color. But I'll make sure that I keep the outline really strong, right?
Hey, Eric, I had a question. What type of paper are you using there?
I'm using Letraset.
Big, right?
I'm using Letraset, which is a kind of a marker paper. And
okay.
I just find that with the Prismacolor and the Letraset, you get this nice, really smooth quality to the sketch.
Where do you find that? It's hard to find Letraset. Is it?
Yeah,
Amazon?
This is stock that I've had for probably going back 20 years. This pad of paper is probably over 20 years old.
That's why you can't find it anymore, I don't think.
Yeah.
Let's
check out dickblick.com. You should be able to find
Yeah.
some of their stuff there.
How do you spell that?
Dick, D-I-C-K, Blick, B-L-I-C-K.
Oh, Dick
Yeah,
Blick.
that's a great place to,
I've heard of that.
yeah.
.com.
Yeah, they
Thank
have,
you.
yeah, their art stores, whether you get it at their brick and mortar stores or online, they usually have most things.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So that being said, full disclosure, in my professional world, I hardly ever sketch on paper anymore. Or if I do, it'll just be a quick thumbnail pen sketch. It could be just a little sketch that I jotted down on a notebook, notepad or something. But I do find that for those who are learning to draw for the first time, or who are in that sort of learning phase, having a big pad of good paper is really important. Later on, as you get more and more confident, more proficient, like once we move into the digital world, then we're going to be using iPads or drawing tablets, and then all having to keep all of this, all of these art mediums in stock is not going to be all that important. To be honest, I have not used markers or pencils in my day job, probably going back at least 20, 25 years. So, because everything is so digital now. But like I said, for those learning to draw, it's the tactile experience of physical pencil and paper that is really, really important. So at the end of the day, whether you're drawing with black Prismacolor on Letraset paper, or whether you're sketching with a ballpoint pen on Xerox copier paper, right? In fact, that's what I do a lot of my sketches on. It's just Xerox copy paper with a big pen. Those core drawing skills are going to stay with you, or whether you're sketching on an iPad, those core drawing skills are going to stay with you, right? But it's sort of like learning to ride a bicycle. So definitely recommend for those starting out to stay on in a sort of physical medium, and then as you get more confident, you progress into the digital, right? And next week we're going to be starting to get into the digital. Actually, Nemo's going to be starting to demonstrate some of the digital media that we teach in our digital sketching and rendering course. So
Yep.
and there we're going to learn the concepts of light and shadow. So if we want to talk about light and shadow, for example, the car is really a reflection of its environment. So if I were to draw a cylinder, for example, right? If you think of the object as a mirror of its world, right? You have a horizon line, you have the sky, and you have the ground. And then you also have the light source itself, which you can place just about anywhere, right? Right. So if I start to articulate that as a reflective surface, everything below the horizon line is going to be reflecting the ground, right? And then if it's a highly reflective material like chrome, it's going to reflect like a mirror, and you're going to see this, whatever the horizon is doing, you're going to see this hard edge between the ground and the sky. And then you have your sky tone, right? Which if you look up at the sky, the sky is deepest blue directly above, and then as you get towards the atmosphere, or as you get towards the horizon, the atmosphere gets thicker, and then it becomes more like white, right? So you have this gradation from deep blue to white. Then you have the hard line of the horizon, and then on the ground directly below the object, you'll see a bit of illuminated light bouncing back up into the object. So that's sort of what reflective surfaces do. But a non-reflective surface is just going to be a very simple gradation, right? So that's going to be where you have a very simple gradation. I would also include in that a metallic finish. which a lot of cars have. A metallic finish, what that does is a metallic finish contains metal flakes within the clear coat, which bounce the light in all kinds of different directions. So it creates a much more diffused light, which is why you get that real sort of pearlescent glow with certain paints, right? So that's a little bit why I'm rendering the car the way I am. You know, it's sort of a metallic finish that you don't necessarily have that hard horizon line reflection.
Well, you do if we're talking about Fresnel, like a Fresnel reflection.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm doing right now though is you know, the deepest part of that rendering is right here close to the horizon, but it's not a hard edge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so by the way I'm rendering this body side, I'm indicating that there is a crease or a character line within that surface, right? And then I'm also indicating some contours or some forms within that body side. So if you think of the car as a mirror of its world, right? You're gonna look for opportunities to kind of communicate what that form is doing. And then the hatching style that I do that's just one of those sort of unique styles to each individual artist.
Yeah, I do a very, very different style.
Yeah, which is fine. You know, that's why Nemo, we're gonna get you going on next week's demo, so you guys can kind of see a couple of different approaches. But you can also see, like up here, I'm introducing a bit of sky tone up on the top of the rear fender. So again, as the object starts to point more and more towards that deepest blue part of the sky, you're going to want to introduce some sort of sky tone. And I understand that we're in black and white right now, so it's hard to tell ground from sky. But when we get into color, that's when we really get to use color to define sort of a cool blue sky tone versus a warmer ground tone, right? So,
Yep.
Yeah. Right. So I'm going to finish up with just a quick rear 3/4 view, because I really want to be able to, like I said, articulate the same car from multiple views. So I'm actually just going to sketch it down here really quick, and here I'm going to be a lot quicker about it, because I'm kind of picturing in my mind where the wheels are. Right? And you know, without trying to get too much in the weeds with perspective. And probably I'm not going to get into a full rendering because we don't have the time, but just trying to get a sense of what that rear 3/4 view might look like. And so that way I have a side view, a front 3/4, and a rear 3/4 view. And I'm I have a complete picture of what this car looks like from all perspectives, from all angles. And then you've got enough that you could give to a sculptor, and they could create a complete 3D model for you.
Or if you're good in gravity sketch like us, we just do it ourselves.
Right. That was another thing from 20 years ago. I didn't get to do my own models.
Mm.
Yeah. Actually, I kind of like the idea that the rear fender kind of wrapping under the back end like this.
Yeah, I like that too. Who was it that said in the chat that said it looked like the Senja?
Yeah, it looks like the modern Lamborghini Senza SV12 without the rear wing.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, again, I'm just going to be extremely loose with this sketch because I'm just trying to get a quick indication without that's another thing about page composition is sort of the hierarchy of images, right? So and I'm just giving a quick indication because I want the focal point of the page to be these two sketches. So this is just sort of like a quick sketch of what the rear might look like without getting into a lot of details. Yeah.
Really, it just comes down to communicating the ideas that are the most important at this stage.
Yeah.
You don't want to spend too much time on arbitrary details that aren't really benefiting what you're trying to communicate.
Yeah. So in the next phase, I would, in fact, typically in my workflow, I wouldn't go past this sort of very loose sketch. I wouldn't go so far as to render everything with the pencil, and that's because I know I'm going to be getting into a digital medium and doing a really, I have much better tools in the digital mediums to really communicate the form and to introduce color and all of that. So, but I just wanted to introduce, just how to get a vehicle, first of all, to explore a lot of different silhouettes very quickly through empathic sketching, then identifying a design, articulating it in a more detailed side view, and then bringing it into a 3/4 view in different views in order to give a complete walk around of that design, like from different perspectives. And sometimes when I do empathic sketching, I will do 3/4 views right off the bat. But oftentimes side views are just easier to kind of get the ball rolling. So. Any comments or questions? Any comments or questions?
Thoughts, guys?
Yeah. So the assignment for this week will be pick one or two designs that you really like and start to articulate those designs in different perspectives. And if you haven't gotten to that design yet, just spend a few hours just doing a really nice run of just quick empathic side views, and you'll get to something that's really futuristic, really unique, really beautiful, and then you can really dial it in the 3/4 views. All right. Cool. Very cool. All right. Last call for comments, and then we're gonna wrap it up.
Little housekeeping, make sure that you're adding your stuff to the Bluescape so that way we can all work together and see how everybody's doing. I noticed, Tim, you got some stuff in there. I appreciate that.
Yes, not much, but yeah, we got some.
Yeah. Yep. And then from there, we'll just keep building off of what's in there. We have one set of sketches that is unlabeled. I don't know whose they are. If you could claim your sketches, let me know.
I think this is me.
Abdel?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I will label that for you then real quick.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, so now we know who's who. Abdel, by the way, great stuff. Tim, great stuff. This is all very inspiring. Love to see what you guys take. Where do you take it next? So later this week, let's see.
Yeah.
Pick one or two that you want to develop, and we'll add those to your section in Bluescape. Looking forward to it.
Okay.
All right.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. And
Have a good one.
We'll see you Friday.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Good night.